Hi Flosstube, Happy New Year. My name is Sherry and I go by Share Bear Stitcher here on Flosstube and on Instagram. If you're a returning subscriber, thanks for coming back. And if you are new to my channel, if you like what I show here, please like and subscribe as it helps the channel. This is my third recording. The first one, I got all done. I saved it, and then I just pushed the button and deleted it. So I started recording again, and then my son called and I didn't answer, and he started calling again because we were meeting at IKEA, and I stopped recording and I just said, I've got to go. So this is the third time. So third time's a charm. Let's see if we can get through this. This is a WIP parade. It is the end of the year WIPs for 2025 and all the WIPs I'm taking into 2026. I did finish a couple of things at the beginning of the year, Muka from Mirabilia being one of them, and I sent that off, as well as the dragons. If you've been here before, you've seen the 2x2 stitch art dragons that I stitched for my husband. They're currently at Wren Studios in Utah. Fingers crossed that I get a message soon enough that they're done and I can pick them up. My friend Tiffany was there at Wren Studios recently, and she caught a glimpse of the Muka and took a picture for me mid-finishing, and my goodness, looks gorgeous. So with that said, I know that if you're new, because a lot of people like to join and watch floss tubes when we do WIP parades to see if that person has your vibe. I'll tell you just a little bit about myself. As I said, my name is Sherry. I am a very seasoned stitcher. In 19 days, will be 63 years old. I retired from my career at Anthem Blue Cross and Blue Shield as a health information manager. It's data reporting, and I won't bore you, but I'm retired and my husband is retired. We both work there. He's a genius data guy, and he also retired when I did. And that was just October 24th. So combined, we have 9 kids. I have 2 biological, he has 7. None of them live with us. Thank you. They're all adults and all doing well. Very proud of all of them. They all live on their own. We have 5 grandchildren, and really that's pretty much what I can say about that. My husband and I try to travel together. When I go to retreats, I take him with me so he can bird. He's actually out doing the January 1st bird count right now with a bunch of people. And so I thought, before he comes home and starts talking to me about all the birds he saw today, I will record this video and get it up there. So the kinds of things I like to stitch are they, vary about this wide. I like to stitch Mirabilia. I like to stitch Plum Street. I like to stitch some samplers. I pretty much like to dabble in everything. I really like sparkle. So you can see my necklace twinkling. I like sparkle. So I use a lot of sparkle fabric. I know that kind of scares people, but don't let it scare you. I like color. I like big color. I like the statement of color. I like it to be done tastefully. So one of the things, so you're seeing part of this is my crafty stitch stuff room. You can see down here, these are all fully kitted projects. You'll see those tags hanging on them. I'm going to show you what I did. This was a recent upgrade to my fully kitted projects as well as my WIPs, and I'll show you on my WIPs. I bought an IV2 handheld. It's by Canon. It's called IVY2. It prints little sticker pictures. So I printed those pictures of the cover of each chart, and then I went to Office Depot and bought printer business cards and just put project name or chart name, designer, fabric, notes, and I wrote on them. So I don't have to go through and unzip bags and figure out what's in them. All I have to do is turn the little card around and I know what's in there. So that ought to make pulling projects as well as sharing them with all of you much easier and quicker. I don't like to record longer than an hour. I feel like there are so many floss tubers out there. Everybody can find their niche and find who they like and what they like to stitch. And I see my lights are not on, so let me turn those on just for a second here. Okay, much better. So, like part of what I said about that project, another thing that we're doing in here is I have over on this side of the room, let's see if I can turn the camera just a little free there, perfect. All of those contain DMC by number range. They also, up until yesterday, contained all my silks and cottons and miscellaneous silks and cottons. But you guys, if you're like me, if they're put away, you're just gonna go rebuy because you don't know what you have and you don't feel like digging through your stuff. DMC is different. DMC is by number. I can go in there and see what I have. However, my cottons, overdyes, my silks, I was not being very wise or a good steward with my money. So I had an idea after watching several floss tubers, and I talked to my husband about it, he is just brilliant, and he designed something for me. Now I'm going to turn the camera on the other wall to show you. Oh, I'm sorry. This is going to be oh, perfect. Okay. He built me a rack to hang. Look at me stick my head in over here. He built a rack for me to hang up my silks, which you see at the very top. Those are Rainbow Gallery silks. And then the second row are Rainbow Gallery Petite Treasure Braid and Silk Lame. And then the third row are Silken Colors. I think there's Dinky Dyes, there's Gloriana, and I put them on rings of color families rather than names because it's easier for me to pull things by color. The fourth rack is Weeks, also in color family order. And down at the fifth rack are going to be the Gentle Arts, Classic Colorworks, and they'll also be by color family. The only thing I'm seeing right now is let me move this out of the way. You can see, sorry, everything is a mess because we're still in process of organizing, and I really like things clean. You can see a picture of my daughter from probably middle school over there. But anyway, down at the bottom where I'm going to put the Classic Colorworks and Gentle Arts, I might have to get another bar, but he built this thing. He measured the frame. He said, how big should we make it? And then we went to IKEA and bought kitchen, I think they're to hang pots and pans or kitchen items, like any handheld items you would hang in a kitchen. But it's from IKEA. Each one of those bars, I don't know how much they were, but this whole thing was really inexpensive. And you see he mathematically challenged himself to make it so just so I can hang things and they wouldn't overlap or get tangled up in the next bar. I'm telling you guys, that man is pretty smart. And he doesn't watch this, so he won't know that I said that. So, with that said, I've been stitching. We're up to 8 minutes, so let me be really quick here. I've been stitching since I was a teenager. Started out with some needlepoint things and stopped stitching for a little while, teenage years. And then when I was in my 20s, I started stitching again. And when I got married the first time, what you see right there is a Dimensions Gold angel that I stitched. I think my kids were really small when I stitched that. That was early 90s. And from there, it has just taken off. I have spent many years stitching for a local needle workshop that is no longer in existence. And I would stitch for friends, and I did that for many years. I accumulated a huge stash, but like you, my taste changed over the decades. And so when I got remarried to my husband now, I moved to Virginia for a few years, and I live in Colorado, and we're back in Colorado now. But we moved to Virginia, or I moved to Virginia, and I donated my entire, and I mean entire stash to a church to sell. And I rebuilt it from 2011 is when I started rebuilding it. So what you see now are things that I love, things I would stitch. I typically curate what I buy. So I'm not gonna buy anything anymore unless I know I'm gonna stitch it. And if that's the case, then I would go through some of the charts I have, some of the projects I have, and unkit something because, you know, I'm not gonna live forever, even though I'm gonna try. So with that said, let me walk you through I have 22 WIPs. I just took inventory of how many fully kitted projects I have, and I think I have that written somewhere. But as far as kits are concerned, I have 22 WIPs and 57 fully kitted projects down there. We're not gonna go through those today, just the WIPs. So let's get started. So I'll show you my hang tag and you can see what it is. That's what the camera does, and the ink is inside of this paper, so there's no ink in that little printer. So you can see this is Autumn is Joyful by Leela's Studio, and on the back side I have written what's in here. So Leela's Studio, I called it Autumn Quaker, even though it's Autumn is Joyful. Under the Sea Fabrics, 40 count, and I totally apologize, I cannot find the card for this. I don't know what this fabric is, but it is Under the Sea Fabrics because it's a sparkle and 40 count, and I specifically bought it for this. So let me show you, if you haven't seen the chart, I am stitching it with the called for. This is the chart. If you take a look at what Leela has indicated here in the middle, that phrase, quote, I didn't really care for that, so I changed mine. And I will show you mine. I think I started this in August, maybe. I'm keeping track of my WIPs in this book because it's just a tracker for WIPs. It is by It's So Emma, and you can get it, I think, on Amazon or from Lori Holt. Okay. This is how far I am. And you see what I changed the quote to. Autumn is a joyful reminder that, I'm reading backwards, that change can be beautiful. And I am stitching the top of the acorn with silk, but everything else is DMC. And it's one strand on this sparkly, there you can see that's a good representation of the color of the fabric. You just can't see the sparkle in it all that much, but it's so pretty. So I don't know if this one will get done this year, but I'll definitely work on it. The middle is the heaviest part to stitch. The rest of it is the Quaker part, and that's pretty simple. Okay, the next project is Mirabilia's Blackbird. I am stitching this on Picture This Plus conifer in 28 count, and I have completely converted this Mirabilia to Rainbow Gallery silk. Let me pull out the actual picture to show you. There you go. She is beautiful, just beautiful. I wasn't going, let me take a sip of my tea latte. So Carrie, if you're watching, tea latte, candy cane craze, so good. I wasn't going to even buy this one. And I looked at it and said, yeah, I really like her. I'm gonna buy her. And then Emily C was talking, Eclectic Possessions on Instagram and here on YouTube, was talking about stitching a Mira in a Sal. And I said, hey, let's do it. And this is where I am. Isn't that gorgeous? Look at that splendor silk on this fabric. And you can see the sparkle, and I think that's a pretty good picture of the fabric, the way it looks. Yeah, that is. I love it. I think it's so pretty, and she'll definitely get some love soon. Let's see, let me stick this back in here. I am absolutely crushing my charts, but I make copies of the charts to stitch from, so that way I don't really ruin the chart. Okay, the next one is Salem Sampler from Plum Street. As soon as I saw this one, I bought it because I thought it was very cool. I am stitching it on 40 count, a piece of the May fabric of the month from Dying for Cross Stitch. I don't know how I saw this, but I saw it somewhere on Facebook and said, oh, I need some of that. So I bought a couple of pieces, but this is what it looks like. And I am stitching this in a Sal with Karen Kirk, Fox and Rabbit, and Julie from Kansas City Girl in a Colorado World, who is awesome. And I want you to see how far I am, because this is going to get done here in the next month. Ta-da! Look at that, Julie. I hope you're catching up. But I love this. I think it looks so good on this fabric. Let me pull it back so you can see. It's sparkly and just, this fabric is awesome. And just so you guys know, I'm a middle starter. I don't care how big the piece is. As long as I know it's going to fit on a fat quarter, I start in the middle and I just cut the rest off because I really don't stitch smalls. And so it would just be a pile of junk strips that I would be collecting, so I don't do that. So moving on, in this bag is something I just started, I think Christmas Day, because I really don't have Christmas stitching at all in my stash. Well, one thing, but I don't count that as really Christmas stitching. So I thought, you know what, let me do one. So I decided on Mistletoe Manor by Blueberry Ridge Designs, and I'm stitching it on Picture This Plus Crystal Serene. So there's my tag, and I'm stitching it on a 32 count. You'll notice in a lot of the things that I'm stitching, I really am leaning towards this Crystal Serene color, this mint. Here is what the chart looks like. Oh, I better not show you that. Let's see. The chart looks like this. I don't know why I like this one, but I do. And I liked it so much, I converted it to Rainbow Gallery Splendor. Now, you guys will hear me say that a lot. I like silk that looks like satin, not shiny silk. Not shiny like I want a gloss in my hair. I want satin stitch, satin silk. That's why I like Gloriana and Belsois, those kinds of silks. I love 103s, Vicki Clayton silks. They're nice. I have nothing against them. It's just, it's a different silk for me. So this is how far I am on Mistletoe Manor. And this is with the conversion. That's a pretty good close-up of what the Rainbow Gallery Splendor looks like. It's filling the stitch nicely, 2 strands, 32 count, and this serene, sparkly green. I like it. It's really pretty, minty. And the sparkle in it is, it looks like snow to me. So I like that. Next is Mirabilia, Lady of the Mist. I'm stitching it on Under the Sea Fabrics Sugar Plum Fairies Sparkle. And it's a 28 count opal. Okay, and that's what the chart looks like, and I'll pull the picture out and show you. But isn't that just really smart to see? Then I don't need to go digging into the bags. Let's see, where is that picture? You would think I would have it right here near the top since I just showed it a minute ago when I recorded before. Okay, that's what she looks like. I love her sitting under that arch. So I pulled different colors to put in the flowers. I think I'm gonna stitch some maybe teal, purple, like dark purple. I don't know, we'll see. But so far, not very far. I just put in some stitches so I could see what this looks like. And I'm not sure, I think this is the way to look at it. It doesn't matter. But there we go. That's all I have in there. And I think overall on this fabric, it's gonna look pretty good. Because this fabric is really, you could see the veining. It's so pretty. Oh my gosh, it's so pretty. Leslie does an amazing job. See that? Oh my goodness. Love it. And I'm sorry if I'm going too fast. I really am going to try to get this under an hour. Next is something everyone I'm sure knows about. Carriage House Samplings, Halloween at Hawkrun Hallow. I'm stitching it on 36 count Nature's Dance from Fabrics by Stephanie. There's my tag. I am stitching it with the silk that the NPIs, and on the 36 count, I'm stitching it with 2 strands. So it is very rich looking. And if you've seen this before, I've done a little bit more, but not much, but I promise I'm gonna do more this year. So there it is. And if I pull it close, because I can see through the fabric, you can see that middle? I cannot tell you guys how many people have looked at this and said, did you change the colors? No. The only colors I have changed are the border around each one. If you can see that, the border is different colors all the way around. It's one color of silk. It's called Acorn Woods. And it is, let me see if I can pull one out and show you. I just thought black was too harsh, and so I switched it to Silken Colors Acorn Woods. And every color it looks like in this strand is in the NPIs. So I thought that would be a really complimentary silk to use. I don't know, what do you guys think? Hopefully. I know that Sarah from Lady Lugana, she actually loved it when she saw it and said, I'm going to do the same thing. So she's doing it as well. This will get more love. Just know that if you're stitching this, or if you have an idea to stitch this, it's really like one finish at a time is how I'm approaching this. Each square, one finish at a time. And middle start, so I got the biggest one done. This will definitely get work done this year. I mean, maybe I can finish it now that I'm retired and have more time. Maybe I can finish it. We'll see. All right. This is Plum Street Sampler's Winter Moon. Here you go. There it is on the card. This was not a challenge piece, more like a team, choose a team piece that you want to stitch for a Michigan retreat that my friend Tiffany she puts on every year. And this year she decided to, everybody start something together. Choose your, choose your stitch. So I chose Winter Moon, and we had 2 pieces to choose from. So my adventure is Winter Moon. And I bought this kit from Country Sampler fully kitted, but I didn't like the salt bush with it. So I pulled that out, and instead I put in a piece of hand-dyed by Stephanie's Fabrics, Jack's Rum. And that is how far I am. And I did this at the Stitch Michigan retreat. Of course it's not done, but it will be done before we go back. Look at how pretty that is. Oh, this fabric is gonna look good now. Check out the green. When I did the floss toss on here, that green just popped. So we'll see how it looks when it's done, but I think it's gonna look good. Okay. Next is Queen Mariposa from Mirabilia. I am stitching her on a 28 count opal mummy from Bee Stitch Me. And here is my tag. Here is a picture for those of you that need to see the Mirabilia closer, there she is. She has butterflies all around her. So you'll see why I chose the fabric I did, because I think the butterflies are really gonna pop on this 28 count mummy. And it's definitely that same, not gold sparkle. It's that greenish, tiny filament sparkle. I really like it. So that's as far as I've gotten, because I really just wanted to get some stitches in to see what it would look like. And I just think it's gonna be gorgeous. The red and pink, that is so pretty. So that's as far as I am on this. And this probably will not get done this year, but she'll get worked on. The next, sorry, on the floor. The next one is also a Mirabilia. This is Christmas Flourishes, and I'm stitching this also on Fabrics by Stephanie, 28 count Versailles red. So let me show you the picture here, because I don't have the big picture here. I do, but I'm sure it's in my Mirabilia chart box, the very first one, or somewhere else, because this is an old chart. And if I showed you the state of my chart, you'll understand. I started this when it came out in the 90s, I want to say, and I didn't like Krynic. That's when I figured out Krynic's gotta go, and instead I'm going to use Petite Treasure braid. So I threw it away because it was stitched on a fabric that it just wasn't my jam. So here is what it looks like on red. She's gonna be gigantic. She's on a sparkle. The Versailles red is it's kind of like, I guess it's gold sparkle, maybe gold, white, I don't know, but ooh, she's gonna be huge. Look at that. Now, isn't that gorgeous? I mean, oh my gosh, the colors on this. And normally when I stitch Mirabilias, I stitch skin over one, but on this one I'm not. I'm gonna do the over two skin. I started it on over one and I didn't like the way it looked. On with the over two, looked so much better. So over two it is. And this will get more work this year, a lot more. I mean, I don't think there's a lot of stitching involved. That top is really, you know, stitch heavy because it's a change of color, change. But I'm hoping as I get further down, it'll go faster. At least I remember when I stitched it before, I had half of it done and it was pretty quick. Although I was a lot younger, my eyes were a lot better. No glasses then. Okay, this in this Teresa Kogut fabric bag is Let Love Rain from Teresa Kogut. I am stitching it on Under the Sea Fabrics, 40 count, properly primitive. And I am, well, I changed a lot of the colors. Some of them I'm using, but some of them are changed. I especially changed, let me show you the picture of the chart in case you haven't seen this particular design, which I can't imagine. There are a ton of people who have finished this, and a ton of people who have it as a works in progress. But there it is. And she's a big girl. I like everything about blue and brown together, except I didn't feel like the blue, brown, and gold on this fabric looked right. So I changed it. I'm sorry, it's wrinkled. It's in the bag, as you saw. I shoved it in there. I changed the blue to be much brighter. And I really like the colors and the way they're looking. I just need to work on this one more. It's kind of tedious because there's a lot of color change, but I mean, it looks so cool, right? Look at that. Oh, that blue is just so pretty. And I put the established of 2010 because it's the year my husband Chris and I got married. I wish I could have finished it on our anniversary this year because now we hit 15, but who knows, maybe I'll finish it this year. So, but this one will definitely get some work. I find that with this one, I need fresh eyes. I don't know why that is. So I went to the summer school. Sorry, that's so good. That tea is so good. Summer school at the attic, and actually my favorite that we got of all the things, and we got a lot of nice things. None that I wanted to start right away, but this one. Plum Street Samplers America 250. I'm stitching it not on the fabric that came with it. I am stitching it on Under the Sea Fabrics 40 count opal Ashira. So this is the design. I'm sure you've seen this. It is not in the general release yet, but I swear I just saw somebody post it from one of the shops, and it may have been the Attic or Acorns that said coming soon. So I'm guessing Paulette might have gotten okayed the Attic to release it. I'm not sure, but I think go look on the internet or on Instagram and you might see it. So I did start it. Now, what you need to know, if you don't know this already, if you're new to stitching or if you're considering stitching with sparkly fabric, is that any overdyed you buy that's sparkly, it shrinks, and it can shrink from, like, this is 40 count. I'm probably going to say this is 44 count now. But look at that, and that's one strand, and wow, is it rich looking. I wish, okay, you can see the sparkle, some of that sparkle happening right there. But I wanted to do it on sparkle because, you know, it's the 250th and it's Plum Street and I love it. So that's as far as I've gotten. I'm probably not going to finish this before the 4th, but who knows? If something really fantastic happens to our country, maybe I'll stop everything else and just stitch this. Okay. My next WIP is With Thy Needle and Thread, Manor at Swan Lake. I'm stitching it on 40 count baby sheep with 103s in a conversion on the baby sheep is XJU Designs. I'm sorry if you can hear my wash machine. It is running. Here's my little hang tag. Here is a picture of the actual chart. Okay, take a look at that grass. So that grass in there, I think, is sort of kind of variegated as well as the water. I don't know. But I converted this chart to 103s. And I was at the Acorns and Threads retreat, and at my table at Acorns and Threads, we always sit with the same people. And two of the people at my table are always Anne and Jillian from Gloriana. And I was talking about how there's such a wealth of knowledge, let me just say, about all things silk. I learned so much from them. And I had shared with them that I converted my chart. And, you know, they said I did a really good job with the colors. And I was saying, lamenting how I need variegation in that water and in the grass. Jillian said, hey, have you looked at the Gloriana Luminescence? It is 103 silk. And I went, it is? And she said, yeah. And, you know, I'm like focused on the things that I focus on, and I don't really stray to look at other things. So she said, go look at Granny Smith Green. Look at Granny Smith Green. It's variegated, and that is going to be such cool grass. So I went into Acorns and I said, hey, give me one of everyone. So I bought one of everyone that they had on the wall, which of their 103 luminescence. I just love these. So cool. These will hang over there on that wall, which is why they're on my desk. So now that I've shown you all that, here is my progress with the 103s so far on baby sheep. And I think it looks really good. And I love it on this baby sheep. It's like butter. Look at that color. It's so pretty. And that red looks really good. So I'll get back to this at some point this year. We're cruising. Next project is called Every Gift. It's by Plum Street Samplers. I have it on Fabrics by Stephanie's Claire in 40 count. So we got this as a retreat exclusive from, I think, Farm Girl, when I went to Farm Girl last spring. Here it is. I think it's going to be released to the general public at market, but I'm not sure. I'm not sure. I would guess marketer there right after. And then here is how far I am. Now I'm pretty far on this, but I have to say I stopped because I didn't like the color, the way it was looking on the fabric in the water. So I have to change that. I pulled it out. You can see just the fish there. But that's where I am so far. I'm so sorry it's wrinkled. It looks so good though. This fabric is really, really buttery and nice to stitch on. And I think once I get everything in here, the colors just pop off of here. I may have changed, let me look, I think I did. I may have changed the roof color. Oh, yeah, I did. I chose other things. Yeah, I did. I have a couple of changes in here, but not a lot. So that one is a fun one, and it's an easy stitch. And I love when Paulette uses bright colors. Okay, this is Twin Peak Primitives Scheherazade. You're gonna laugh. Scheherazade's Dream. I should be able to say that since that's my middle name. I am stitching it on Under the Sea Fabrics, 40 count Anya in opal, and I am stitching it all in a converted silk. Now, it is not converted 1-to-1. I ordered the Keepsakes Surprise Me box, and when you order that box, you fill out a questionnaire and talk about the kind of stitching you like to do, the kind of fibers you like to use, and how much you're spending. So I gave them a dollar amount and said, you know, I'd love to see, I gave them some ideas, like don't send me a converted Mirabilia. God knows I have enough of those. I have been buying Miras since they came out. But I said, you know, I like this chart. And so she went with that and chose this chart and took all of those colors and reimagined them in very vibrant silks. Now I will say, I love what she did, but I did change some of what she did. So here is how far I am. And I was holding that picture up long enough so you could see, because this looks very different. Because Scheherazade is the storyteller of 1001 Arabian Nights to keep herself alive and to keep her husband from going bonkers, I guess. So you see that perla is purple. It's just, the colors are so great. And Anya is such a good fabric for this. And it's 40 count, so it has probably shrunk to 44, but it looks great on here. And I do need to get back to this. The thing with this chart is you really need to spend some, this is like Let Love Rain for me. I need to have fresh eyes. I need to have good light. It's more of like a daytime stitch for me. Now that I'm retired, I can do it more. I could probably spend more time on it. Okay. This is an Ode to Libraries Heartstring Samplery. Now just two projects ago, I showed you Claire, the 40 count. I took the other half of that and I'm using it in this. So here's what this looks like in Ode to Libraries. That little printer does a pretty good job. That little, maybe I'll show you guys when I'm all done here. Here's the chart. So I was at Hobby House Retreat last, I don't know, April, and it was Heartstring, Beth, and Paulette, Plum Street. And we were in the store, and I grabbed Beth, and I said, hey, girl, I like this chart, but I don't want to stitch it in Classic Colorworks. I want to use silk. So she made a beeline to the silk with me and said, pull this, try that, do this color. Let me see what it looks like. So you can see what it looks like there. And we tried to stick as close to silk as we could that matched those colors. But so far, here's where it is. Let's see if I can hold that in a better way so you can see that. Oh yeah, it is delicate and beautiful, just beautiful. I'm sorry, it's wrinkled. Oh, so pretty. So, I need to get back on this one, and I've been thinking about it, so it might be something I pull out and work on here soon. I am doing a model though. I don't know if I said that. And when I'm doing a model, I really just like to focus on the model because I know the designer's time is limited in that window that they have to get things done. And it's a market release, so I'm trying to get a lot done. Okay, this is the Wren Sampler from Teresa Kogut. And this particular sampler I bought with my friend Tiffany and with Debbie from Mama Bear Stitchery when we were at Acorns and Threads retreat in September, the Pacific Northwest Stitch Summit. We wanted something to commemorate all three of us going, and so we each walked by this one and said, oh, we really like this sampler, it's so pretty, love those wrens. So I started converting, and then Tiffany and Debbie came over and started converting, and then we each chose a piece of fabric. So if you've recently watched Mama Bear Stitchery's last Flosstube, she showed hers, and hers is on pumpkin spice. And Tiffany, who does not record Flosstubes, Tiffany is stitching it on the called for, which is Red Cedar by Cedar River Linens. But I chose Atomic Ranch 40 count in light jade, and we all did pretty much our own conversion, kind of stuck with some of the same things that are in the called for, but like I converted a lot. I'm just gonna say I converted a lot just based on this fabric. And then if you look really closely at the thatch roof in the house, remember when I said we sit with Anne and Jillian from Gloriana? They gave each of us many things, but one of the things they gave us was just a recent dye of a silk. And so that's the thatching in the roof that we're, I think, all using. So our goal is to try to get this done before we go back to Acorns, hopefully in September. It's going to be Labor Day this year. For the PNOS, which is the Pacific Northwest Stitch Summit, we have not registered yet because it's not open yet. And I would say to you that for me, it is hands down the best retreat I go to. So what I'm going to tell you is if you have an interest in going, you need to get their newsletter, and you need to read that newsletter because it's either January that they say when registration will open, and it gives you a time. And you have to register at the time so that you can be sure you get in and get a spot. And they also have a Zoom feature that if you can't go, but you still want to participate in the retreat, you can Zoom. And I'm going to tell you guys, they do a fantastic job on their Zoom process. It is really the best retreat. I just can't even sing Janine and her team's praises enough. And Tasha specifically for the Zoom, she handles the Zoom so well. And Tracy from Ink Circles does all the tech. It is a fabulous retreat. I encourage you all to try to go because this September, it's Blue Flower, Janine McGowan, Stephanie Webb from Lindy Stitches, and Paulette Stewart from Plum Street Samplers. Okay. My next piece is the Vanity Sampler from Liz Matthews. Hello from Liz Matthews. I'm stitching it on 40 count Honey Amber by Seraphim. There's my little tag. Here's my little chart. Here's the chart. And you can see it's very light in here. And what I'm doing is not the called for. I saw Cam the Stitcher's conversion and fell in love with her conversion, and then decided to convert her conversion to something I would like. Or I just took her idea of converting, and I pulled a Verissoise, and I pulled them in. Look at that pink. Ooh, look at that pink and green and purple, and very pretty. And on this piece of Honey Amber, oh, those colors just pop. So I bought this at the Colorado Cross Stitcher, Sherry's store. I'm very fortunate to live in a place that has two fantastic cross stitch stores. And when I purchased this, Sherry was ringing me up and she's like, you need to bring that in here when you finish it. I want to see it. So I don't know how much of it I'll get done this year, but I definitely will work on it. It's one of those that I need good daylight to stitch. I think it's because it's dark, the fabric. Okay, this is a Mirabilia, and I have 5 after this. Sun Goddess. Granddaughter number 2 looked at her and said, Taylor Swift. No. But, I mean, I guess she could kind of look like her. This is what the chart looks like. I am stitching her because downstairs on my wall, when you walk in my house, is the Gypsy Queen. And Gypsy Queen is her sister. And this is a conversion to the Splendor silk, as was Gypsy Queen. And if you're interested in seeing it and haven't seen it, it's on my Instagram. I am stitching this on the other half of the fabric I stitched Gypsy Queen on. It's Stephanie's fabric. It's 32 count changeling. And I was working on this last week. So because it is a conversion, the colors are going to look slightly different, but you get the idea. It's the same, in the same spirit as what she is in the called for, but the silk is just so much brighter. Look at that band of whatever that is on the front there. So bright and pretty. And I mean, I'm pretty far. I'm not that far, but I'm far. And I should finish her this year. I actually like stitching. I think I might have already said this. To me, Mirabilias are palette cleansers between other things, because there's so much block stitching in them. I can get a lot done in a small amount of time. Okay, let me grab this. This is Memories of the Past. It is the Hands Across the Sea sampler. There you go. I am stitching it on 36 count Under the Sea Fabrics Anye. So you saw that in the Scheherazade sampler. This is the same fabric with no sparkle. This is what the chart looks like. And I am not stitching the words that are on here. I'm actually converting it to a song lyric, which I'll spare you unless you're really interested. You can ask me, but it's a song lyric because I just think it fits this better. It's a Beatles song. And I chose my own silks just by basically looking at the colors of what was called for on the 103s, and I chose these. And that's where I am. So I haven't worked on this one in a while, but I should pull it out. I like it. And who knows, maybe I will. Okay. This is Autumn Moon by Plum Street Samplers. I'm stitching it on 40 count Stone Fruit from Lapin Loops. Here is the cover. And I think I started this as soon as it was released. And here is my progress. Now, if you want to see this thing almost done, go look at Rika King's House of Stitch and Stash Instagram. Rika's really far. I just started at the top of the house. And I just love it on this stone fruit. That stone fruit is such a pretty color, isn't it? It's really pretty. It really does look like stone fruit. Peachy apricot. It's really, really nice. Okay. This one is Mirabilia. It's South Seas Mermaid, 32 count bewitched opal from Under the Sea Fabrics. There is the tag. Let's see. I have a picture. Yes, I do. We started this, a bunch of us, a few years ago in our messenger group chat, just to pick a Mirabilia and start a mermaid, and this is what we settled on. Many people got it done. I did not. I converted her completely to Rainbow Gallery Splendor, and frankly, I should finish it because I'm really far. So you can see how far I am, right? She looks pretty good. I'll pull it up close so you can see. That splendor just makes such a difference. I think the problem was for me, the reason why it's not done is because that braid, the petite treasure braid, and then there's space in there for beads. Whew, that is really hard on the eyes. It's not a hard chart, it's just hard on my eyes. So I've got that middle pretty much done. I've got her fin pretty much done. The bottom is almost done. So I should be able to just get to the skin. She's actually a gift for someone. So I just need to get it done. Okay, this is also a Mirabilia. It's Adia the Garden Fairy. I'm stitching it on 28 count Windy Leaves, Brittany Lugana from Pole Stitches. And here's my tag. And then I will show you the picture on the chart. I converted this chart to Roxy Floss because I like Roxy Floss. I have a bunch of them. And I thought, let me try Cotton Roxy Floss for a Mira. So you can see down at the bottom of her skirt, it's really golden, the golden yellows, those darker brownish yellows. So I converted the entire thing, not in person, on the laptop, holding DMC up, going, does this look like that? Does this look like that? So when I got done with my conversion, I sent a message to Carrie and said, hey, I'm gonna use all of your floss on a Mirabilia. Do you mind looking at what I've chosen and see if I made a good color conversion? And I think she just went and glanced at what I did and said, yeah, that looks pretty good. And she recommended a color for a different yellow. I just wanted to make sure it was like, does this match 729? And she said I would recommend X. So I used her recommendation. That might be upside down. I don't know. Of course, when I look at the chart, I can figure it out. No, I think that's her wing. Anyway, once I fill it in with that darker gold at the bottom, I think, and this is all enclosed in those golds, this is gonna look really cool. Now that I'm stitching pretty much everything two-handed on the Patoki and Q-Snap, because Q-Snaps fit on the older model, I'm really fast. So the last thing I have is, technically, it's a WIP that's not started, but we'll get started as soon as I'm done recording. Kenny from Kenny Stitches and I decided we're gonna start this today. So this is the Mira Fairy. And the reason why I am stitching this is for granddaughter number 3. And I am stitching her on 25 count Cinnamon Lugana from Bestitch Me. So nothing on here yet, but I will show you what it looks like. And 25 count's gonna make her a little bigger. But this is really pretty sparkly fabric. Look at those sparkles. And it's just delicate, and you know, Lugana takes dye differently, and I like the way it looks. It kind of looks watercolory, and I think it'll be really pretty. So it'll end up making the design a little bigger, but it'll look good. So that is my WIPs. So what I'm keeping track of those in is, like I said, this cross stitch journal. I spent the time and went through the journal and wrote in all of my projects in no particular order. So you can see I put Christmas Flourishes, Mirabilia. I started it in the summer of 2025. It's on 28 count, no changes. And then I'll just keep track of some of the time. I mean, I know in my head how much time I'm spending on these, but when you do so many projects, you don't. So I'll just keep track in here. At least this will help me to keep track of what I have going and how much I've stitched. And then I also have, now I'm not a sticker person, so you're not going to see any stickers anywhere ever, but this Stitcher's Journal from Stacy Nash. I went with this year versus the Needlework Press one just because it's smaller and I can just like write hours in here of how much I'm stitching, not necessarily what I'm stitching on if I don't want to. But this is just for me, mostly tracking purposes. Frankly, I could have done it in a notebook, but I mean, with this one, this has room for 50 projects. So if I get to 50, that means I've finished a lot of stuff, and I'm also keeping track of the models that I'm going to stitch as well in here. And I just write model on the top of the page. So that's pretty much it. My plans for the year, I don't make them. I just stitch, because every day I may feel like I'm making good progress on this project and I'm going to keep going. Or I'm tired of this project, I want to move on to something else. And I always know with me, if I start thinking about something, thinking about a different project, when I'm stitching on a project, like, oh, I got to get back to that. I know that's what I need to get to as soon as it's probably what I need to pick up. That keeps me from having burnout, honestly. With stitching, I know some people have been talking about losing their stitch bug, and where's their stitchy bug? They need to catch it. I can tell you guys that has not happened to me. I can't remember the last time. And I think part of that is because I just don't make a plan other than I'm going to stitch, because stitching for me is meditation 100%. It massages my brain. It cleanses my brain from the day-to-day. It really helped me when I was working. Now that I'm not working, I mean, I get up, grab some coffee, and come upstairs, and you know, I do a couple of chores, and then I start stitching, take a shower, get dressed for the day. Usually I have a walking pad right here. I get on that, I come out here, balance, you know, do some bill paying, those kinds of things. Plan my day. What am I going to do today? What time am I going to work out? Because lifting 3 times a week is non-negotiable for me. And actually, my new program starts on Monday. Lifting heavy, full body workouts, 45 to 50 minutes, 3 times a week. Did I say a day? It's not a day. It's a week. And then, you know, walking, moving, just because this hobby is so sedentary, and I am no better than anyone else. I have put on weight. Granted, a lot of it is muscle from the heavy lifting. But when you see that scale go up, I'm going to tell you what, I am a girl of the 70s and 80s when skinny was the thing and the number on the scale was supposed to be low. And it's really hard for me to balance that with, I've got muscle everywhere, like muscle. And I need to do it because I would like to live a good long life, and I want to stay healthy. And my husband has really embraced, we have 2 gyms in the house. I have one up here and he's got one down in the basement, and he has embraced lifting and exercise, and he is a 100% vegan, and he drinks beets and ugh. But anyway, we're really trying to do all the right things because we enjoy our time together and we want to enjoy life. And in retirement, this third act, we should be enjoying everything and doing all the things that we want to do. So all of that to say, yeah, working out and staying healthy is really important to both of us. So with that said, I will let you guys go. We have just hit 1 hour. I hope you have a wonderful January. I'll probably see everyone at the end of January. Maybe in February because we'll be taking a trip in the beginning of February. So I'll probably see you then. But Happy New Year again. I hope this next year, 2026, brings everyone so much peace because we have so much chaos in this world. So much peace, joy, love, stitchy times. Tell somebody they made your day. I'll see you. Bye-bye.